Hello, everyone. Hamer Hayes here, also known as Hamer the Hypnotist. Most of us who came on this incredible journey to become hypnotists began our journey from a low point in our lives and felt compelled to help others because we know from our own experience just how rapidly, positively, and profoundly it transformed our lives. So, welcome to Hypnotalk, the podcast for all things hip and hypnosis. Today, it's both my pleasure and my privilege to introduce my guest to you. He's a master hypnotist, a comedy stage hypnotist, a talented hypnotherapist, and a loving father to his two young boys and his partner, Chelsea. Will you please join me and give a warm welcome to Dylan Lovegrove?
How you doing, Hamer? Thank you for that.
You're welcome. So let's get straight to it, Dylan. Why hypnosis? What inspired you to become a hypnotist?
I was always interested. It with the beginning was be Paul McKenna, because I'm 42. So Paul McKenna would have been the age where the mysticism and wonder of being a child was watching someone on stage performing this mind magic and what I perceived as in control of the volunteers and making them do stuff. And as we know, as you get into it, obviously you know that's not exactly the way it works, but it's still close to. And so my interest from a young child was watching Paul McKenna at the start. But I suppose when you do shows and you get people talking to you, asking, "Oh, where did you get these powers from?" It's like they seem to believe it's like some sort of superpower, which as we know, it's not. Um, and also, it's the unknowing that you can actually learn this from doing courses and stuff, which I never knew until I was in my 30s.
Yeah.
And Chelsea, my partner, she went to see a hypnotherapist for bereavement issues, and it really, 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 really helped her out. It really did work. Something was happening there. And through her sort of journey, she decided to look into it more and study it and become a hypnotherapist. And so she hypnotized me
Well,
using a rapid technique. So this is where the journey really started to become fascinating.
yeah.
Mm.
So she hypnotized you. Tell me about that. What was it like for you the first time you went into trance when she put you under hypnosis?
Yeah, it was strange because she was doing all her training. She was doing NLP, and then she stepped from NLP into the therapy. And so she was going into London and doing these weekend courses just to learn the basics, and so she was learning, the way to do NLP with, using linguistics to get someone's mind in a different place, get the as NLP is. So she was coming back one day, she came back, I've just finished work, and I was picking her up from her sister's. And, so I've gone from there from work to collect her from the sisters, and so the kids were only young then. The boys were, little bubbers running around. It was a madhouse in there, because her sister had all her kids running around. So she said,
Yeah.
"I've learnt this technique to do rapid hypnosis. Can I
Oh, wow.
do it on you?" I said, "Okay, yeah, why not? Let's do this." Anyway, so she got me to put my hands, like, interlock my
Yeah.
fingers, stare at my thumb, told me to think of recite my phone number, recite it back. Now I didn't have any idea what she was doing, by the way, so I was absolutely clueless. I didn't know this was a rapid either. And so all of a sudden, she's just pushed my hands down, said, "Sleep." And I immediately went into a deep trance. And I felt a shift, an effect immediately.
Immediately.
Um, Especially when she woke me up. Like it felt like, that wonderful feeling of you just had a quick nap.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and her sister was looking at me gobsmacked. And she was like, "Was that real?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, something happened there." There was no suggestion other than just, "Oh, just go deeper, deeper," and she deepened me. She didn't do any skits, nothing
Mhm.
sort of, comical. But yeah, that was when the real fascination took place.
That's where that fascination really began for you, hasn't it?
Yeah. yeah, that opened up a real sort of Pandora's box of craziness, that did.
Curiosity. So fast
Yeah.
forward to 2025 now, almost 2026, and now you're running stage hypnosis training.
Yeah.
For the viewers, can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So, I got someone suggested to me to teach to do stage because I've been doing it so 10 years now. Someone said to me 2 years ago to teach stage hypnosis. I didn't feel ready. I didn't feel like I had anything to give or offer. But the stage training that I feel that I do now, I feel like I'm actually able to give something from, I didn't want to just sort of recycle everything because everything's recycled anyways, we know. But I didn't want to just give people like, I've learnt that and I just push that to them. I wanted to give something of my own as well, you know? And so the training that I teach is for people that are starting from the very beginning, the very bottom, from the going pubs and clubs, the more difficult venues to do shows in. So my training, I think, is great because it's great for the beginners, and then they go on to train with people that would be, on the goats of the hypnosis world, Chris Carreras, the Richard Barkers, and then they learn the real sort of like, going from theatres around the world through cruise ships and stuff. But yeah, so my training's excellent for the beginners because it teaches them Plan B options, how to handle really, you know the sort of volunteers and audience members that are rowdy and
Yeah.
how to get around it.
Well, sure. Well, that's one of the difficulties, isn't it? It's dealing with rowdy audiences and hecklers and people like that. There's only
Yeah.
so much you can actually teach of that in a classroom, isn't there? So, what advice would you give to anyone that's thinking about trying stage hypnosis out for the first time?
Would be to start off on the streets, or just start off with friends and family members, hypnotize everyone and anyone you can meet, and any opportunity you get to hypnotize someone, do it. And that will build your confidence because also what it will do is you'll learn the difference between depth with different people. Some people will go bang into hypnosis, they are so tranced and you can give them any suggestion and then they do it. And then you get some that are really, really difficult. And it's good to learn the good and the more difficult and the easier ones, That would be my advice. Hypnotize everyone.
Yeah, even the cat.
Yes, the cat. Yes, don't let the cat get away with it.
Yeah, definitely. They normally hypnotize us, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, we obey what they tell us to do, and.
So, what's been the biggest challenge you've had till now when you've done a skit, and how did you overcome that?
I think the biggest challenge for me would have been I done a show at a festival, and a lady had an abreaction. Luckily, Chelsea was with me, so we continued the show. But she basically, the thing is about hypnosis is that you're given a suggestion that is internalized completely differently from me to someone else. So
Yeah, of course.
the suggestion I give at the time was I got the volunteers to imagine they've got a seatbelt keeping them locked into their seat so they didn't fall forward because obviously you get floppers and people fall out of chairs. Um, so I said, imagine you've got a seatbelt keeping you into your chair in that position. You're safe, etc., etc. And this lady started to have an abreaction. So anyone else know what an abreaction is? It's a suggestion that you give someone and they start to do the opposite. Like, you give them a suggestion to do something and maybe they're just cracking up laughing for no reason, or they start having what looks like a panic. And it's not common at all. It doesn't happen often. But you need to know what to do when it does. So, and again, just going back to the training, this is what we teach as well. So, yeah, that was quite a testful one because the lady started to, I think it was like a claustrophobic feeling for her with the seatbelt. So she started like having a bit of a panic. So I immediately worked on her, got her to imagine the scene was fading and she was coming away from herself and separating that scene from her experience. And she came back and she felt fine, and there was no issues at all. Chelsea was talking to her after, so it was yeah. But at the time, it was a very challenging situation.
Was this when you were? Was this quite early in your career when this happened, or had you been doing it for
It was about 4 years ago,
4 years
4
ago?
years
So
ago.
you've been
So
doing it for quite a while when that finally happened. Then,
yeah, yeah. Luckily, that's probably the worst one in 10 years. That's the worst abreaction I've experienced. So that shows you
yeah,
how I've done hundreds of shows, so it shows you how they're not common. So you just got to be on the ball when they do, because we try and do our best to give people a positive experience with the words that we use. And again, because some people will internalize something differently from another. Yeah, so it was I don't use that suggestion anymore just because of that one experience that I had. So live and learn.
Yeah, I love what you said about helping the member of the audience to focus on her breath and letting the
Yes.
scene fade away. I think that's quite
Yeah.
important. Could you tell me a little bit more about how you would how you teach people to do that in the classroom environment?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. So if someone has an ab reaction can be also a positive one. They might be just laughing hysterically,
Yeah,
and it doesn't look like it's the opposite. So
you
someone's
can
having a panic attack.
utilize that, can't you?
Yeah. 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 You know. So but I teach people to basically focus, like you say, focus on your breathing and allow the scene to fade. Just focus on your breathing and allowing your scene to fade. Now, what I do say is that some people will easily listen to that and they come around, but some people are so in that experience that you have to be very strong with your words.
Yeah,
You have to let them know that they're there. Allow, and like, that's how I was with this lady. I was like very, I was stern. I was like, attend
yeah,
to your breathing, and I was, I was not shouting at her, but just letting her know that my voice was stronger than whatever the experience was, that she can listen to my voice and go with what I'm telling her to do. And she did. And she came around, and like I say, she didn't it didn't phase her at all after, you know. Chelsea spoke to her to say, look, if you want to talk about, we've got a number. Just we after every show, always make sure everyone's had a positive experience, and just make sure that if they have any questions after, that you're there to support them with anything. But again, these are so rare; they're very rare. These ab reactions. So
sure. And as far as when someone comes onto your training program for the first time, what's the format typically like? What can they expect?
yeah, we try and teach from the ground upwards. So we teach them how to promote the show. We teach them how to get themselves to find out their own stage persona. Because one of the things I like to teach is to when you're learning from other people, you kind of sometimes mirror match them, and you get lost in creating your own stage persona, and that's very important because people will pick up on that, and you got to be authentic. So it's difficult to learn from others, especially when you're kind of like just you're taking in so much from these the greats of YouTube videos and tutors and stuff. So you need to sort of understand who you are. So try and get person to find out who their persona is. Teach them to get themselves in the mindset as well before they go on stage. Whether that's deep breath, whether that's self hypnosis, cold shower, whatever. So that's sort of like the ground up from there. The safety aspect always, what to expect from venues, and what to tell venues, how to write up contracts, how to deal with volunteers, discipline. There's the three things I always focus on mainly and teach people is momentum, discipline, and rapport. Momentum, discipline, and rapport is the three main things I really get people to focus on. And in that way, if you get the momentum to build up the magic, which is what hypnosis is all about, the mysticism, the wowness,
Yeah, yeah,
discipline, vitally important for especially for pubs and clubs, even weddings. You need discipline because you're gonna get the clowns in there trying to mock you, and, so you've got to know how to deal with it.
definitely. Yes, in pubs, you're definitely going to get that. Tell me more about for the viewers. Tell us a little bit more about what you mean by momentum.
Yeah, so momentum, the thing is with the momentum, discipline, and the rapport building, they all go hand in hand together to what I say is to create a great show. The momentum is like it's that mysticism of magic. Now, if you do a hypnosis show as a surprise and just go, oh, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we've got a hypnotist in Lovegrove coming on stage, it's harder to build that momentum because
Yeah,
hypnosis starts when people look at the flyer, when they look at a poster and they see, "Oh,
right.
there's a hypnotist tonight. Wow, this is gonna be amazing." Then they start to think, and they create their own kind of internal momentum build-up. So, the momentum, what I describe it as to students when we're training and stuff, is that you've got to be sort of mystical and magical and a bit sort of like, because they want that wow factor, because that's what it is. And that's what I describe as the momentum. It's that kind of like the magic of hypnosis And by doing that, you create sort of just by simple things. You could just point to people and say things like, "You're going to be a good hypnotic subject. I can tell. I can
Right.
see straight away." So you've created an idea in that person's mind that's created a momentum for them. And the amount of times I've done shows and there's been someone that's volunteered and they look a bit nervous, a bit worried, which in my eyes is great because they believe something's going to happen. They've built their own momentum. Sometimes I'll touch them on the shoulder and go and whisper in and go, "You're gonna be a great hypnotic subject." And the
Yeah.
amount of times they are a great hypnotic subject, which is one of them.
I mean, that is great. You've demonstrated that beautifully there. And obviously that strengthens rapport as well, doesn't it? Like you say, the
Yeah.
three of them go, and the discipline, they all do go hand in hand. But that's really powerful, Dylan. And I think these are skills that don't just apply to stage hypnotism, can apply equally well to most situations in life, in business, personal, or in normal hypnotherapy as well.
Yeah, agreed.
So typically, Dylan, what type of person would benefit from this kind of training in your experience?
So people who are at the beginning level, would definitely benefit. Someone who's really interested in hypnosis, doesn't know where to start. And again, I think that comes from the fact that the pubs and clubs where I've done so many pubs and clubs, I kind of like created my own fail-safe version of doing it. So I think it's great for people that do the training can learn how to start at the bottom, so the beginners would be perfect. I get a lot of hypnotherapists on my courses as well, and I think it's because the I've always said this, and I know certain people don't always agree with it, but I think bringing a bit of that stage magic into the therapy room can help, and I think that. And again, I know there's some people who just disagree, but I find that if I get someone to get that momentum that I talk about, and if you get that momentum built with a client that wants to stop smoking, lose weight, or and you give them that something's happening. We're doing something to show that something's going on. So if you do a suggestibility test, um, you create for them the idea that there's something going on in here in the background that is creating a change, and
Yeah.
that where I think that it's great for hypnotherapists to learn in the rapids because we teach
Mm.
progressive, and again, like so, with the momentum building, the suggestibility tests, and helping clients understand that they've got some part of their mind that is working in the background that they don't understand on a conscious level, and we're going to show them that we can access that. Not only access it, but we're going to show you little examples of how that works, and it creates the momentum. So, yeah, beginners, therapists come on my course, um, and even people that have been doing it a while and just want to boost up on their confidence levels and stuff like that.
Well, I was very much one of those sort of people when I came on your course as well, sir. And
Excellent. I'm glad to hear it, my friend.
yeah, very much so. I learned a lot and build just knowing how to pick members from an audience. And these are skills because when you teach, I teach hypnotherapy, and just learning how to manage your audience and picking the right subjects, and noticing which ones are likely to give you problem. I wouldn't have got that anywhere else. So thank you very much. Anyway, this is about you, not me. So carry on.
As you remember on the training, I always say that we're learning from everyone. Like, so everyone who comes on the course, I always learn from every training session I do with everyone that people give me tips as well. Um, People will do something in the training session that I like. So, I'll do a demonstration and then they go off and do their own style, and or they do a version of what I've taught them. But then sometimes I pick stuff up of people and go, "Oh, that's great. I'm going to use that." So we're always learning from everyone. Everyone's learning from everyone, even from beginner levels and stuff. And that's the great thing about with the training is it's just all like-minded people together.
It
And,
is, it's
and
great, isn't it?
it's such a it's I love teaching. I didn't realize how much I would enjoy teaching people to do hypnosis, but the energy and the joy I get from teaching people how to do it is fantastic. Especially when I see people go off and do shows, and they do them confidently, and they send me their feedback and how they felt and what they did, etc., etc. And that really does boost. Yeah, great feeling, basically. Yeah.
It's fun, isn't it, to do this, to meet new people, to learn cool things, and do all these all these amazing techniques that you just wouldn't get to learn anywhere else.
100%. Definitely. It's just fun. It's just great. It's just a great environment. It's a really good environment, you know. And yeah, like you say, the people that have done the course and they've gone off and done shows. It's just lovely to see because you know, I know from that experience, and I've had a few when I first started, first 3 4 years. I had quite a few horrible shows that really did just you wanted the ground to swallow you up. Um, it's very awkward feeling, just awful, awful feeling. So, you know, I teach how to basically not have that experience and get away from all that, which is, you know, why I feel that I'm able to give something that people can go away with at a beginner level and just have a backup, the kind of fail safe, to go away with feeling that they've given, you know, a venue some sort of entertainment. Mm.
Yeah. So, how did you cope with when you were dealing with all these difficult venues?
So I'll give you an example of my worst experience was when I was in Blackpool, um, and I had done a show for these guys during or just up when COVID was calming down. And the show went, it was tricky because that was when we done shows with masks, separation. So really, it was tough, you know. So we still had to do the you know, the 3 meter rule and stuff like that, and the mask we were wearing. It was horrible, really. I'm sure loads of my hypnotist friends out there can agree. It was just a horrible time to be doing shows. But anyway, they got me back to come to do another show. And the second time I came back, the COVID rules were all gone. But they didn't. There was the advertisement. I don't think was done, or the interest weren't there. But you know, as you know, you have to really promote a hypnosis show correctly and well to get the volunteers and the bums on seats. And I opened up, and this lady volunteered. It was her birthday. She had a ribbon saying "Happy Birthday," etc., etc., or "Birthday Girl," whatever it was. So she ran outside because there was no volunteers. It was like literally two people sat down. She ran outside and just grabbed people off the street, sat them down, and there's just no momentum there. Like I talk about the momentum, there was nothing. It was just you know these people sat down. They didn't even know what they were sitting down for. I felt sorry for them really, and I should have just pulled the plug. But I didn't. I just went to go ahead with it, and that was just lack of experience. But it just, yeah, they was laughing. They was looking around like, "What's this all about? What we doing here?" I had issues with. I almost had issues with payment with you know because I've driven all the way from London to Blackpool, so it's like a
Well,
4.5 hour
it's a
drive.
long way, isn't it?
But it was a lesson learned. I don't regret it. It was something I learned, and I learned well because it was, it impacted my mind with, "Whoa, I'm not letting that happen again." So,
You kept
and that's
going though, didn't you? You kept going. That's
yeah,
the thing, isn't it?
yeah. Kept going, tried my best, and unfortunately, no matter how much you do, sometimes your best just ain't gonna cut it.
It's not gonna do
Um,
it.
so yeah, it was just a lesson learned.
Definitely. So, other things that moving on from that now, other things that you help people with, I know is with things like how to find insurance and how to find venues and things like. Can you tell me a little bit more about what people should be looking for when they're looking for a venue, or and how to make sure that they're protected?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So, if we're teaching people who are, because obviously we train in Dublin and stuff like that, Dublin, they don't have to worry over there in Ireland because they don't have to worry about the Hypnotism Act 1952, which is for the UK base. And so we teach about the rules and regulations in the UK. So you have to get a license and stuff like that. So we teach that. And as you say, the insurance, the venue sizes. So insurance is very difficult now to get hold of. You have to do a bit of hunting. But I teach people who to go to, like who I use. And then with the venues, it's like size, where you set up your chairs. Is it close to the bar? Is it
Yeah,
close to exits or toilets?
yeah,
These are all things you have to think about for the safety of your volunteers. So I teach people how to, what to do. Ask the venue and get them to do, videos and stuff. Send you a video of the size of the venue. You know.
yeah. That's really useful stuff, isn't it? Because there's a lot that goes, people just think when they go to the show that everything flows and it's all natural. But there's all those things, like you just said, about where to position the seats, not just from a point of view of safety, but from a non-verbal point of communication point of view, of making sure that people are sat where you can see them in front of the camera and things like that,
Mm.
dealing with permission for people to go on camera, stuff like that, that you wouldn't normally be aware of if you without the help of someone that's actually like yourself, that's actually done the job.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And most of them's come from experience from shows where it's happened and it's been logged in my mind. Oh, I ain't gonna let that happen again. So I make sure I make a rule of, if it's near a bar, okay, I set it away from the bar, or I do tape on the floor, or if it's near a toilet, you've got people in and out, and you do get it. It doesn't matter how many times you speak to the audience. Sometimes people are just too drunk to listen, or they don't care. So they'll walk past, go to the toilet, and they'll whack their mate who's like in a slumber. And you don't know what his experience is at that time, where he's at in his mind. But they'll just come along there, whack them, push them alongside. So that's where I teach, say before, discipline. It's extremely important. Discipline is really, really important. So you got to look out for all these little aspects and these things that will, make a show, the difference for a show. Um, but yeah, so that's a major part of the training as well.
Yeah, that's huge, and I think that's one of the differences that makes a difference, where you're working under the guidance of of an experienced stage hypnotist. So many people think, "Oh, yeah, I'll just go and do it," but there are so many ways you can leave yourself vulnerable by not paying attention. Your idea, just that one idea of getting the person that's running the venue to send a video of the venue. It's such a simple thing, but unless you unless you've done it, you wouldn't think of it, would you?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's again from another experience that I had was I spoke to a guy. This is going back about 5 years ago. I spoke to a guy. We booked up to do a show for this guy in his pub in Winchester, and so me and Chelsea went together on this one. We drove down there, we got in there, we looked at the pub. It was tiny. It was so small. It was just so small. So again, I thought, oh, we've come all this way. So eventually we did squeeze a show, but it was also a pub where there was nowhere really to do. You couldn't really set up chairs anywhere. So it was really tricky to do it at a full on show. So I teach people that if you can't get a row of like 10 chairs, which is ideal, like stage set, you can do like two rows together of three, and then rows in front of each other to create, get more, because the more volunteers, obviously, the more chance you get good volunteers and you get a good show. But this place was so tiny. So I learned from then on that I messaged the pub or Google, look at the pictures. You can tell normally. If it looks big, go for it. Um, but yeah, so that was one of the road blockages and something we teach.
Do you ask the managers of these places to point out any trip hazards when they send you those videos?
No, I will just assess it myself when I get there and then work out what needs. So if there's wire, because obviously I have my own wires with my speakers, so a lot of the time I'll either have rugs and stuff with me or some tape. But if there's like, so a lot of places when I do shows at not so much holiday parks normally pretty good, but if you do a show for like a con club or a conservative club, they might have a little stage and it might be too
Yeah.
small, or it might be just like that. So I will do it on the floor. But some people, the thing is that people don't understand what you need, and they sometimes get confused, and they'll say, "Oh, you can do it on stage," and I'll say, "No, I can't do it there. It's just too small." So they're kind of expecting it on there. But as always, and we teach this all the time: safety first with all volunteers. You get someone who's deep in trance, and they'll move around, and yeah, they'll do things that are they sometimes forget where they are and stuff like that. So you've got to make sure that where they are is safe for them to move around.
Especially where alcohol is concerned as well. You know what's going
Yes,
to go on.
absolutely.
You're a
Yeah.
brave man, Dylan. You really, really am. I haven't got the patience to work
Yeah.
with people that are drunk, but you've got
We
to have
teach the ejection seat, right? You remember the ejection seat?
yeah,
Put them on the end. Get the drunks on the end.
yeah.
Don't let them go in the middle because they ruin everything. And again, another experience I had which was terrible. Literally lost 7 volunteers from a drunk in the middle, just not refusing to come off stage. So yeah, I learned a lot from that as well.
Yeah. If anyone's thinking of taking out and actually, so if anyone's thinking of joining you on one of your weekend events, what's the best way to get hold of you?
Um, they can go on my website, which is www.dylanloveshypno.com.
Okay.
I'm trying to chuck out loads of promotion from TikTok and Instagram and stuff like that. And if they go on my website, there's a training page, stage hypnosis training, and there's a link for our next training in the UK will be May the 30th and 31st, and that's in Leicester Square. And
Leicester Square.
yeah, so that's Radisson Blue, lovely, lovely hotel. We got really lucky because we got upgraded to the yeah, was it? I can't remember the name of the higher suite or something, but so yeah, we got an upgrade, which was really nice. So we've got a lovely view out the window, so it's going to be a nice training,
What a
place to be
place
training.
to learn stage hypnosis, because you can go out and do street hypnosis in your lunch break there, can't you?
Yeah, that's right. That's
Wow,
the plan.
wow, that's going to be some event.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that one.
How many
Mm.
people are you? How many people? How many places are there on this event?
There's 25. We've already got 2 booked in already, which is lovely. So there's an early bird discount already out there for people that want to get in there straight away.
Once again, in there,
But yeah, there's 25 seats, so it's a nice number because, as you know, when we do the training, we give all the people that come on our training the opportunity to do their own show at the end, and they
yeah.
can use that, especially for the people that generally want to go out there and do a show themselves and start off at the bottom and go for it. They can actually video that, and we get them to video and to use that video as they're starting promotion, so they can actually start promoting themselves, which was great, which was Chelsea's idea. I'm not taking any of the credit for that, by the way. As Chelsea said, "Oh, we should get them to video it," and then so yeah, Chelsea came up with the idea of getting them to video the show and use that as a promotional platform to get there, get off the starting blocks. Which people do, I've seen it already from previous students and stuff that have been on the course and the workshops that we do, and they have been using those exact videos to help get themselves off the ground, and people love it. If you go to a pub or club and you show them, you go, "Oh look, this is what I do," and you show them a video, and they only just need to see little things, little tiny things like people just jumping up and down, and visible horses, skits, visible instruments. People love it. It just looks fun and amazing. Great
It
entertainment.
really, really, really does. It really
Mm.
does. It, oh, I've lost my thread. Completely honest. All this is going to be edited out.
That's all
but
good.
by the way, mate, I'm just seeing you go with that. It's wonderful. You're clearly passionate about what
Mm.
you're doing there. I will put some links up for in this video for anyone that wants to book with Dylan, so we can go we can go from there. So that's what's happening Leicester in Leicester Square. When is that happening again?
That's May the 30th and 31st, that weekend. And we've got Dublin again, I believe, is October the 3rd and 4th, I believe that is. And we're also looking to go to Scotland. We're looking at venues at the moment, and which will probably be September. But the training, like I say, it's basically the feedback that I've got from previous students that has actually fueled my passion for it even more, because I don't want to teach people things and then go away and not have results, but I've had so many people giving so much lovely feedback, and it really has been really amazing. And there's so much support out there as well for people sharing our stuff that have been on the course, and that's really driven me further to keep going, because like I say, it's knowing that they're getting something from it. Because I forget, I've done this for 10 years and I've been doing all these shows, and so to put it on sort of like paper and teach it, you're
Yeah,
just kind of like, I'm kind of doing it and then not realizing what it is I'm giving out until I see people doing what they're doing, and yeah, it's lovely. It's really really good. So that's it. It's people that's done the course helping me to push more onto this.
So that you find that really inspiring to bring you on. You can see people making these videos and recording their experience. I think that's really useful for hypnotherapists as well, because so many people that I come across in the hypnosis world, they can only hypnotize people if they're in a therapy room. They tend to bore people into trance. And with stage hypnosis, you can show people that hypnosis is actually a fun thing to do. I know, for instance, if I was looking for a hypnotherapist to help me get over a habit, I would want to choose someone that I'd actually seen in action. I'd want to know that someone could actually do the hypnosis. And stage hypnosis is so good for building up confidence. And when I know you'll be taking out people for walks into Leicester Square, and you'll be doing street hypnosis there. It's cross-contextual. It's anytime, anywhere, any place. And once you can do that, and I know this because I've been there and I've done it with you personally, that changes everything. And
Mhm.
you know that once you know you can walk up to a random stranger and you say, "How do you fancy a 2-minute nap that feels like a 2-week vacation?" and get them, which I've seen you do.
It's great. I mean, when we like I say for the therapy side of it, because there's always been some sort of that I think it's dying out now, the belief that or people's ideas that stage hypnosis is it shows a bad light on therapy. I because every when I used to do, because I started off as stage hypnotist first before I'd done my learning hypnotherapy. And I was always getting people, still do today, get people, they see what happens and they see, wow, that's amazing. It works. This is real. Then they
Yeah,
get the interest. They want to, can you help me stop smoking? Can you help me lose weight? Can you help me with anxiety? And so my opinion is, and this is through my experience, is that I think that stage does well for hypnotherapists. I think the problem we have is that there might be some stage hypnotists that are putting a bad light on it. Maybe they're not doing it properly. Safety aspects of throwing it in the bin,
yeah,
and they just want to look good without the sort of looking after their volunteers and stuff. I think that's where the problems can be. But again, like I say, there still is a bit of arguments going on between the therapy and stage world. But I do believe that we are moving forward, and people that see hypnosis, it's still exposing it. It's still exposing, as long as it's done positively.
yeah,
People are going, they're interested. They want to know a bit more about it. Oh, okay, so that works. If you can make that guy do that on stage, can you help me with my behavioural issues, my confidence? Da 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 da. But yeah, and then going out, like you say, going out on the streets of London, that's where you really do excellent for confidence building. And I know as well, Cole Smith does that as well. He takes his
yeah.
people out there on the streets, gets them involved, gets them to do, rapids on the street, and it's just the best way to do it. Get in the thick of it.
It definitely is. There's nothing breeds confidence like actually going out and doing it.
Mm.
And it's a fun thing to do, isn't it, as well? You go out, you meet
Absolutely.
people. When you can see that look, you meet a stranger and you can give them the hypno cookie, and you can just see their eyes light up at the end of it, and
Yeah.
you've changed their days. I can't think of anything more rewarding than to actually to actually see that look in someone's eyes when you know that you've actually left them in a better state than you found them in. And I
Yeah.
know that you are one of those people because I've worked with you. And so, for the audience, if any of you are actually thinking of learning how to do stage hypnosis, Dylan is your man.
Oh, thank you, Homer. Appreciate that, buddy. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience and your wisdom today, Dylan. I'm just one more question before we finish this. If you could reach out, say 1, 2, 3, 5, even 10 years from now, and look back at the younger version of you of today, right here, right now. And as you look back, bringing with you all of the lessons, all of the understandings, all of the wisdom that allowed you to be the amazing hypnotist that you are, all of your successes, What advice would you give to that younger version of you that would allow you to live the life of your dreams?
I would say stay out of the comfort zone. Stay away from the comfort zone and take leaps. Definitely.
Definitely.
We get too comfortable in the comfort zone and we don't go anywhere.
That's it, isn't it? It's getting comfortable outside of the comfort zone. Well, thank you so much for sharing, for sharing your experience and your wisdom today with me, Dylan. I'm sure people will enjoy watching this video.
Thank you, Hamer, and thank you so much for having me, buddy. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Likewise. Bye now.